Communicate what the expectation is and explain why. Paint a picture or show what it is along the way. Don't expect anything out of anyone that you can't show them first. Teach them how to do it. Don't just tell them.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by R&R Pipeline Inc., an infrastructure company. Join our team today at rrpipelineinc.com. Welcome back to the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Today, we're back with episode 2 of Trench Talk from Labor to Leader. Episode 2 is about communication and documentation. If these two things are 80% in any facet of life, but especially within business, you are doing really good. So with communication, make sure that you're letting everyone know what the expectations are. Unspoken expectations are nothing more than predetermined resentments. If you can't do it safe and you can't do it right and you can't prove it on paper, then you probably can't prove anything at all. And you probably don't know how to do it very well. It's the process. Make sure it's very clear with the communication of what needs to happen and documented very, very clear to make sure that you have something to follow when communicating. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not this complex thing. The basics are what matter. So when you're moving past the pride-driven cowboy days of the pipeline industry and you want to talk about real respect in the industry, stop reading between the lines, create clarity with your team, with your crew, and make sure that what you're communicating is also documented. It's very clear, very simple documentation, because then you can repeat it. Whenever you have the ability to read something very clearly and define it and it works, then you can just repeat that thing and it consistently wins. So documentation, communication, 80% is freaking awesome on these two. And if you have it, then you're probably winning. So here we go. Check out the episode. We have Mike Pence back for another round.
We don't demand respect as leaders. Respect is earned both ways, but you don't become a leader by being silent. You become a leader by standing up and doing what's right. Even if it's the owner of a company. Like if I go out on a job site and I'll have safety glasses on, I expect someone to tell me about it. Not to get me like, oh fucking go ahead. No, it's because it's a respect thing that you are saying something because it is better for the business. It's the respect of the company, not about disrespect of the person. It's about the discrepancy of what's not being done correctly. Yeah. Mistakes happen, dude. I could easily walk out on the site and forget safety glasses, right? But the mistake is seeing it with recognition and not saying it. If you see it, say it.
Absolutely. But it's also empowering. I am no different than none.
Just another
I
dude.
don't get special. I don't get special treatment. The safety rules do not bend for me. And this is your job site.
Yep.
So if I walk out here and you don't call me out because you know I'm in a different position, the first thing my brain goes to is, well, wait a minute. If you didn't call me out, who else are you not calling out? What else has happened?
If you're not willing to do that, are you calling anybody out for their own, like their mistakes?
Right. And when you have those conversations, what I've found and I'll do that when I don't feel like I'm getting through somebody, we'll do something along those lines. And then I'll say, now let's flip the script. If you showed up on my job site and we just talked about integrity and part of our models and our values, and I didn't call you out, they're like, I would question everything you're doing. And I'm like, and now we've got a connection, and they're like, and I'm like, thank you. Like we just bridge the gap, and suddenly now the messages are going to convey cleaner to even their own folks. And it's kind of that just reframing it. And I actually had that conversation with a contractor the other day. We were talking and I'm like, look, situation A, consequence is B. If we were in different positions, if we were sitting in different seats, would you react differently? Silence. No, absolutely not. I'm like, then we understand each other.
We need to be reminded more than we need to be taught a lot of the time, where we already know the truth, and then we want to avoid the truth because we've accelerated career so much, or we want to pass ourselves where we know we messed up, and we're trying to give ourselves a reasoning for that being okay. But if we expect it out of somebody else, we got to hold ourselves to that standard, or we become a bad leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The ego versus sponge. It's such an amazing thought, to have recognition of the egotistical person that comes in this industry is probably 90% ego before that 10% sponge from my experience. Most people have an ego to some extent. A lot of it, Mike, is probably not directly the person's fault. It's probably the industry's expectation to start. at least from when I came into it, it was a pride-driven cowboy industry it was not like a real business entity as we know today, where compliance is a massive thing. Safety, compliance, quality of work are the big overarching things. It used to be just production. Go get the shit in the ground as fast as possible, make money, and go drink beer. The first thing today is if you can't do it safe, you can't do it right. If you don't have a quality product to deliver, you're not doing it right. You're not going to get work today, at least not for the big companies that we work for. So having an ego will not get you acceleration in that path that you want. But being a sponge will create ultimate success for you as you go along. It will create opportunity. It will create, reliability. It will create respect. There's so many things that will lead to it. So I think, starting out, when you grab that shovel, when you go out, be proud of owning that shovel. Be a person that observes what you're doing while you're digging. Why are you digging? What's the thing that you're digging for? What's the outcome that's desired? If you don't know, ask the question. As leaders on the other side of this, someone that would be leading that, that rookie egotistical Mike and Jake, I would say to communicate clearly. Back to your point, you nailed it absolutely perfectly. Communicate what the expectation is and explain why. Paint a picture or show them what it is along the way. Don't expect anything out of anyone that you can't show them first. Teach them how to do it. Don't just tell them. If you told me, Mike, today, a professional pilot can tell me with a checklist how to fly a plane, I promise you, I'm not getting in the cockpit and putting people's lives in jeopardy until I am shown exactly how to do it over a long period of time. Would I have any confidence to do it? Absolutely not. And I wouldn't expect anyone to have confidence in me to do it anyways. So as a leader, we have to show them by teaching them and not telling them. And I think knowing that someone's a sponge and willing to listen, take advantage of that as a leader and really grab onto that person and let them be a sponge all the time that you can. And particularly if you ride together in a truck to and from the job, what was the expectation that we had today? The night before, I used to set the expectation the night before, hey, feedback on what we did today, expectation for tomorrow, remind them in the morning, here's what we're looking at, here's what done looks like today. Let's try to get this done by lunch, take lunch. You give them a roadmap or a visual of what it looks like for that day. It eliminates so much unknown. Unspoken expectations are predetermined resentments. And if you think about what's not said on the site but's expected out of people, well, no wonder people have egos and laborers get pissed off because the leader's not setting an expectation that's clear. So set a clear expectation, let them know exactly what good looks like, and then you can win with a lot more ease. But if you don't clearly, withholding information is only hurting the person that has the information.
Right.
At the end of it.
It's fact. Yeah. I had a young man tell us that he was upset. And I was asking him, what are you upset about? One of my managers and I were talking to him, and great guy. What are you mad about? What's got you fired up? He's like, well, it's just the communication around here is terrible. I'm like, give me an example. What? Well, I don't really have one. Okay. So what's really going on now?
Yeah.
And he wasn't communicating the frustrations that he was actually having with his crew. So he was right. There was a communication breakdown.
It was him.
You're not communicating back to us, right? I mean, it's funny how often how many meetings and how many presentations and how many TED Talks and what we're doing right now, which thank you again in advance. This is awesome. To come back to the most basic thing that we are capable of doing. And yet it's one of our least efficient tributes. I don't know. It's mind boggling. How many, I bet if we counted, I'll tell you right now, bro, if I did a shot every time I said the word communicate in the last week, I'd be in the ground. I'm telling you, it's been such a thing. And it's funny. We're coming back full circle to that. It's supposed to happen that way.
If you have two things that are 80% of the way there, you're probably going to win at an extraordinary amount: communication and documentation. If you communication's 80%, documentation's 80%, you're going to fucking murder it in any business. They're the lost art of tracking progress, writing down what you've done. Think of it from a liability standpoint. Like you have to go to the court of law and say you did this thing. Are you going to show up and say, well, I guarantee I have proof? Well, show me. Well, I didn't write it down. Well, you have nothing. If you can't prove it by data shown, documentation is not a lost art. I don't think it's the found art yet of what true success can look like. We communicate it, but we don't document it. It's the he said, she said game. Communication can go a lot of different ways if that's the case. So communication, documentation absolutely are crucial for every business and any business to be successful.
1000%.
Yeah.
You said it. If you're hitting 80% on both of those, you're winning.
Dude, you're killing it. 80% of that, 100% is fucking awesome. I can say that because I know that it's few and far between that actually, come to that.
That's fact. Yeah. That is fact. That'd be a great number.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
We'd have a lot more free time.
Yeah. So as we talk about communication from leadership is clearly expected. We have to have that communication to know what vision is, what the direction is. How are we getting to the said vision? How are we getting the GPS coordinates to get to that destination? Communication is a lost art. And I think it's one of the biggest bottlenecks today, as it probably has always been, where you might get communicated to, but it's not clear. So clear communication has to be there. But then the people you communicate to have to communicate back. It is a two-way street. And if it's not a two-way street, then you don't have communication. You have one directional message heard with not a feedback loop. It's hard to get people to say what they have on their mind. And we assume we know what the reality is without knowing the whole thing. And we build up this thought in our head of something that is astronomically out of line in all reality. We assume we know, we assume that this thing is what it is. And we're so damn stubborn not to say anything. And I'm guilty of this just like anybody else. Expectations, communication. If you expect it, you better be willing to do it. And that goes from the laborer to the leader and vice versa. It's not a one-way street. You can't just jump in and I am not a mind reader. I don't have a crystal weight ball. I don't read between the lines, Mike. And I tell this to people all the time. If you feel it, you say it with words. If I don't hear the words being said, I don't feel the message that you're trying to deliver. I don't read between the line. I read on the line. So be direct, be respectful. You don't have to be an asshole to be direct. You can be direct and be respectful. Directness is not a way to put someone down. Being direct is actually an acknowledgement of respect to me because it showcases that this person feels this way. They have the courage to say something and they're doing it with respect of discrepancy, unknown, not person that didn't tell me. So my approach from a laborer to a leader, if the leader's giving you a message and you have a issue or concern with it and you're not knowing how to say it, approach it respectfully. I would say even to the degree, if you're new at this, do it privately if you can. Pull someone off to the side. If you mentioned the person that did it publicly for you, that's a well-rounded community of people that you have built there. That team trust is there. So that's something that you expect at that level because it's been applied at a high level. But when you're first starting out, dude, as a laborer and you have a concern to a leader, talk about the discrepancy of what the concern is. So not about the person, but here's what you expected out of us. And here's my concern of why I think that's a risk or a safety violation or a concern. It's just about the thing, not about the person that said it to you. So if I'm going to approach you, Mike, and you told me, hey, I need you to go down there and directional drill in 500 foot of main, but you didn't give me the resources to spot utilities, right? So I'm going down there with a bore machine, a couple guys, and I don't have what I need to actually spot all the utilities. I'm going to go down the street knowing that I don't have that. Before I even deploy it there, I'm going to say, hey, Mike, all in on getting that done. How would you like me to spot all the current utilities there? How would you like me to get verification on depth of all these utilities? So I'm not talking to you about, hey, stupid, you didn't give me a fucking back truck. I don't know how I'm going to go do this. I'm like, hey, I know this is the thing that needs to be done as part of the process. How would you like me to approach that? It takes away all the discrepancy versus personnel thing. I'm not personally feeling attacked as a leader. The leader probably forgot or didn't think about it in the moment because he's pushing off orders quicker, whatever it may be. And so that leader's like, oh, that's a great point. Actually, this would be the best way to do that, right? Automatically diffuses the situation from being tense. But if I say, how the fuck, what, you're not gonna give me a spot crew? Like it's automatically a defense mechanism to come back the same way that it was delivered. So discrepancy first with respect, not person that didn't give you what you needed. From labor to leader, that would be my approach. What are your thoughts? How would you approach it?
Very similar. It's communication styles, right? It's all in how you say it, right? We hit this before. You can have the same message said by two different people, the exact same words that have two different meanings. Because to that end, you could tell me to go down and bore that, and maybe I'm a 19-year-old me, and I go, okay, cool, I'm blind boring, great, and I go unload my machine. Where 23-year-old me goes, I'm not unloading that thing until we have all this spotted. So we'll drill this in the next couple hours. We're going to go open this up. You have a copy that prints. Be like, hook me up, please. I know you're busy. Let me help out. And what I see right now, there's the younger generation asks more questions than anybody, which I appreciate.
Love it.
They're not afraid to ask questions, which thank God. The volume of questions sometimes is like, what are you asking about? You don't actually know. The feedback loop that you mentioned, huge. Because that's your understanding. Is the message succinct? We don't need to get to a game of telephone. When the superintendent tells the GF, tells the foreman, tells the crew, by the time it gets to the crew, 1/8 of the message has been relayed. You know? And it's interesting because we have so many modes to communicate now. We mass text, email, Zoom meetings, in person, site visit, all these things. But it's a matter of taking the time. And this is what I've noticed. And I'm definitely guilty of this because I'm a fast mover. And generally speaking, I'm a fast talker. And I will tell my folks, I'll beg them, if I'm going too fast, please tell me to slow down or tell me to stop. I will absolutely repeat myself. But when I get going, I get going. And I think it's an oversight similar to the active listening, right? That I need to get this message out because I've already got to get on my next task. I've got 5 million things today, but I need to get this message out. And hey, Jacob, XYZ, you heard me, right? Okay. And I'm gone. You never even got to answer the question. I still do that. And I know that happens with some of our guys in the field. The GFs, God bless them, they got the toughest job out there because they get to hear it from, the office side and the field side. They're the poor guys that are in the middle getting heat from both directions. And foreman comes in and says, man, my GF told me to do this. And we hear, wait, what? He told you to do what? Jacob told you to go down and drill and it wasn't spotted. And, there's an empty seat. And it's like, well, wait on. No, he didn't say it like that. It's how does that message get relayed? And I think it's an art that more leaders play it back and then play it back and be like, I'm telling you, I'm getting hot thinking about, like, I would have to throw that tape recorder like, oh my God, I'm never talking again. Like, I just know that sometimes I've been on calls with our executive group and we're on task, and then they'll say something and it's going, what? And they're already moved on. I haven't even been able to formulate a question. And to your point later, I've got to make that side conversation like that labor and go, did I hear this right? But having that relationship similar to that labor, hopefully that foreman is welcoming and we've built that culture, which took quite a while. And we're still cultivating that to say, dude, don't do anything dumb. And if you're not sure, just come ask me. It's cool. I tell my group that. My boss has told me that. My boss has been doing this for 45 years and he'll tell you, I don't know everything, but don't do something dumb. We'll find out. If you don't know, just for God's sake, call me. And I think that's where the ego comes right back to getting in the way. You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to look weak by asking a question in our industry. I think that mantra is breaking.
I do too.
I really do. Yeah. I think it is. I think with the younger group, the rhythm and the cadence and the number of questions we get asked about so many things gives me hope. It gives me optimism that if the generation that's answering the questions has the patience to answer them and take the time to articulate it clearly, we can see a little bit of a knowledge transfer there. It would be super exciting. It's definitely something to watch.